Okay, good morning all. Thank you for joining us today for our 13th meeting of the Board of Lake County Commissioners. If you'd all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of our country. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Grant us, O Lord, light to our understanding, prudence in our investigating, foresight in our planning, sincerity in our deliberating, the grace to follow truth in our judgment. Help us to be moved in our decisions, neither by fear nor by self-interest, and to do our work faithfully. May we respect the authority vested in us, for thou art the source of all authority, and may use it in our directives for the common good and for thy honor and glory. Amen. Amen. Thank you all. Madam Assistant Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino?
You really need to get up on that microphone.
Sorry, okay. Commissioner Young? Here. Commissioner Hammercheck?
Here. Okay, we have before us the meeting minutes of March 12, 2020 and April 2nd, 2020. Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes without reading same?
So move.
I'll second that. Okay, we have a second, so we have a first and a second. Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes. Very good. Now, we're going to go to, let's see, Ron Graham, our Director of our Lake Health District, and he has a update and presentation for us. Ron, if you would, please.
Hello, everybody. Appreciate the opportunity here. Ron Graham, Lake County Health Commissioner for Lake County General Health District. And so far, we have 93 confirmed cases. 29 of those cases were hospitalized, 7 were ICU admissions. As far as the curve is going and flattening the curve, which is what we hear a lot about with the Governor of Hawaii, we are doing excellent in Lake County. I want to thank everybody from the Commissioner's Office, with Lake Health Hospital, everybody involved in the response. We're doing exceedingly well. We're slowing our curve down with cases quite dramatically. And the business compliance, the stay-at-home order is almost 100% compliance. We have very few businesses that are having any problems. With 20 cease services, so we shut them down. We've had about 19 that we've modified. I want to let everybody know with the Regional Bush EMA that it's an unprecedented event and really taking control of it, like the narrative as far as protecting everyone, decentralizing the offices, the infrastructure in Lake County. We do have a hotline number at 440-350-2188. We have an email address dedicated to this 7 days a week as well. It's COVID-19 at lcphd.org. We're operating our Lake County General Health District site, which gives information to the public from the Ohio Department of Health and the CDC. We have Motivate Lake County, a more extensive tool to protect your businesses and your families. We are looking at our points of dispensing, which is 6 to 12 months down the road, how we distribute protective equipment or vaccination or other prophylactic interventions to the community. We're working every day with the county commissioners, Lake Health Hospital system, the county EMA, to make sure we're looking at the healthcare system and how that works to address all the needs of Lake County. We're taxing it. We meet with the mayors and managers twice a week. The Fire Association, Police Chief Association, once or twice a week. Hospitals, we're contacting and updating each other on a daily basis. And county government, we're in contact between 5 and 7 days. We just want to continue to let everybody know that social distancing and washing, those kind of types of hygiene are the best protection we can have. And we're just opening up for any questions that the commissioners may have or legal.
Oh, Ron.
This is Commissioner Serino.
Yes, sir.
So you indicated that there were 29 hospitalizations in Lake County?
Correct, today, yes.
And 7 ICUs, and we have 7 deaths at this point, right?
5 deaths so far.
5.
Unfortunately, 5.
Okay. And the average age is in the 70s. Is that correct?
Average age of the death are 74 years of age. You're correct.
Okay.
Ages of the hospitalization, the average are 63.
And just out of curiosity, Ron, in the cause of death citation, because the fact that there's an obvious connection to people that have other underlying issues health-wise, is the coronavirus being listed as the principal cause of death, or are there incidental situations where somebody tested positive but had underlying issues that really were the cause of death?
Yeah, usually it's respiratory failure or acute respiratory failure or heart failure. Will be listed as a secondary one, but not normally the typical primary cause of death. Right?
Okay, so the 5 deaths that we have may in fact not be specifically related to the coronavirus, except that the patient tested positive.
Yes, there's probably some other chronic disease or immunocompromised situation that those individuals had, those deceased had.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Yep, thank you.
Ron, if I could, I wanted to comment and thank you for the efforts that you're putting in, keeping our mayors and city managers, township trustees informed twice a week. That's very important. The updates,
thank
the
you, Commissioner.
questions, that's a real service to our community because we're getting our local leaders fully briefed, so we're all hearing the same information at the same time. That's very important. I commend you for making time and keeping us as well informed as you are. And I want to commend you for how closely you're working with our emergency management agency. That's truly appreciated.
Yeah, thank you so much, Commissioner. And you have a great team in Lake County, and I'm proud and pleased with everything you've done today.
Anyone else for Ron Graham?
No, I would just echo, Mr. President, that the Health District is doing a great job and working very well with all of the entities throughout Lake County. So hats off to the Health District.
No, thank you, Commissioners.
I do have one
Oh,
question.
Ron Young has a question for you, Ron Graham.
Yes.
Good morning again, Ron.
good morning, sir.
Wanted to echo John's comments about your meetings twice a week. It's been very informative. I'm just wondering, as we're coming out of this whole event here, at least the first stage of it, how are you planning for the resurgence? Are you beginning currently to inform the public that when we come out of it, there'll still be restrictions? The social distancing will probably still be enforced. Certain entities will probably still be closed, at least on some basis, to the public. I'm sure there are plans. I'm sure. Go ahead.
No, certainly we're planning for that now. Proactive positioning of our Motivate Lake County to bring people on. We have 500 people already signed up for that service to help communicate. We're going to be watching what China does as they pull back a little bit and let off the gas. What their resurgence will do, we'll have an insight to how tight we'll have to stay. We're certainly trying to prioritize economic recovery, the maximum health benefit that we can have. It's truly essential to get our population to continue their education, get them back to work, keep them healthy. So we will be looking at that, and we'll change our communication channels. We've spent a couple $1,000s in social media to exponentially expand our social media reach so we can keep pushing these messages as the situation changes, but yet be creative in how we maintain compliance to disease prevention.
Yeah, that's so important. That's good to hear. We can't keep Lake County out of work indefinitely like this.
No, absolutely. Health and education drive.
And it's not a matter, so many people have come to me and said, but we have to keep the pressure on. We have to keep this up almost indefinitely, it seems, in their minds. And to them, it seems it's a comparison between how we're going to value life as compared to what they think of as filthy lucre. But it seems like some people just don't understand that filthy lucre, those dollars that business creates every year in this country, a lot of those dollars are spent on very important social programs that also save lives. where they're talking about children's services or Medicaid or 101 other programs that are geared to maintaining some reasonable level of civilization and affluency and creating the lifestyle that America has become famous for so long. That happens through people working hard and making money. So it's really good that you're already planning for that day to create a stable situation for people when they return to work. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, we'll make sure Lake County continues its time to recover as quickly as possible.
Very good.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Okay, Ron, thank you. We'll let you get back to the work of the day. And again, thank you for all that you're doing. And please extend that same courtesy and acknowledgement to your staff as well.
Well, do. Thank you, and same to your staff.
Thank you.
Good day.
Okay, we have Ross McDonald, the director of our Board of Elections. We're trying to get as many updates out to the public as possible, and Ross is here with us today. I'm going to look to our engineer here. Where would you like Mr. McDonald to stand and present? Okay, and I'm assuming the mic will, unless you want to join us at one of the engineer's station is free if you want to.
This one's okay?
Okay, there you go. Thank you, Ross McDonald.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, Commissioner Hamercheck contacted me yesterday and asked if I would come up to the meeting just to, at a high level, cover how we are going to conduct the rest of the primary election. So I'm going to cover at a high level what House Bill 197 actually enacted. That was House Bill 197 that was signed into law by Governor DeWine on March 27th. That legislation dealt with a lot of COVID-19 relief efforts, and it also laid out a procedure for us to conduct the rest of the primary election. So I'm going to cover what this does, how it impacts us, and then I'm going to cover some frequently asked questions that we're getting from voters who are not used to voting by mail. So right off the bat, we know that it extends absentee voting by mail for the Ohio primary through April 28th. Now, the vast majority of voters will have to vote via absentee ballot by mail. However, it does establish April 28th as a limited opportunity for people to conduct in-person voting, but you would have to have what's called a qualifying disability, or you do not regularly receive mail where you live, which I think we all can understand that would be someone who is without a home, homeless.
Excuse me, Ross?
Yes.
Ross, can we adjust the camera?
Oh.
We're getting, there we go.
Oh, okay, there we go.
We were
See me
getting
now?
a good shot here of your midsection.
Thank
You need to start working out.
Thank you for that too. I know we all need to work out a little bit more these days. I think spending a lot of time on the sofas.
And that freshman
That's
15.
much better, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. So, as I mentioned, absentee voting has now been extended out through April 28th. And so, right now, we are busy processing absentee ballot applications. In order to vote by mail, every voter has to sign up to vote by mail, and that's done via an absentee ballot application, or we would also call that an absentee request. So if you hear me say absentee ballot application or absentee request, those are the same thing. That request form is available at the on the Board of Elections website at www.lakeelections.com. Voters may print off as many applications as they need. We realize that a lot of people don't have a working printer at home or may not even have the internet. We can mail the application to the voter, but that will delay the process by a couple days, of course. We have in the main building, this building, in the vestibule, we have a drawer labeled Board of Elections with applications available. If someone needs to come up and visit the vestibule, they can grab an absentee ballot application from our drawer. Returning those applications, I want to do a shout out to the Buildings and Grounds Department. They were able to install a drop box back before the COVID-19 outbreak, so we were positioned well to handle what House Bill 197 actually now requires. It does require that every Board of Elections in Ohio have a secure receptacle outside of the Board of Elections so that voters can do a no-contact drop-off of their ballot or their application. So we were ahead of the game, and I want to thank Jason and the Buildings and Grounds Department for helping us get that done. House Bill 197 also requires us to prepay the postage return of the absentee ballot. So as voters are receiving their ballot, they'll notice that we have already covered the return of the ballot itself. If a voter would rather return it in person, they may use the ballot drop box that I mentioned. We are getting out on social media, whether that's Facebook or Twitter or our own website, as much information as possible related to the election. And of course, our phones. We are receiving a very high call volume at this time. Now, probably, I would say 90% of those calls are people who are needing us to mail them the application. So we are glad to do that, but as we get closer and closer to April 28th, we're running out of time as it relates to getting that application back from the voter, processing the application, and then mailing out the ballot. So folks listening at home, I encourage you to get those applications into us right away so that we may mail your ballot. We have now gone to a 7-day-a-week operation at the Board of Elections. We're working every day. We have 2 shifts that are coming in. We also, the COVID-19 impacts our work life. We have to keep our numbers down. We keep it under 10 employees at a time, but for the demands of this election, we have to go to a 7-day-week operation, 7 days a week operation, and which is what we are doing right now. The House Bill 197 also lays out the postmark deadline of the return of those ballots. So if you're returning your ballot by mail, your ballot will need to have a postmark of April 27th, which is the day before the in-person election, which will occur only at the Board of Elections. If you do not get your ballot postmarked by April 27th, you may hand deliver it to our ballot box no later than 7:30 p.m. on April 28th. And we'll be obviously checking the contents of the ballot box throughout the day, getting those ballots returned into our system, and then ready for counting with our central ballot counter. Outside of that, the bill did lay out some various guidelines as it relates to campaign finance, which I don't think is really pertinent for this discussion. I want to discuss some of the frequently asked questions that we're getting from voters. One question is that, if I have already voted, do I need to vote again? The answer is no. If you had voted prior to the election being postponed, all of those ballots will count, and in fact, we've already processed them. We have not created any results reports at this point. We don't know the outcome of any election. Right now, we're receiving guidance from the Secretary of State that we will report results on the evening of April 28th. We're waiting additional details on the manner in which we'll report results, but my guess is that we're going to report them on our website, like always, and then the Secretary of State will probably report statewide results sometime on the evening of April 28th, but we are still awaiting additional guidance on that. Another question we get a lot is that if I want to vote, say, a Republican ballot, will that ballot also contain the issues for my precinct? And the answer is yes. So on the form, voters, I think, are just needing a little extra clarification because the form is asking them to indicate the type of party ballot that they would like to vote or vote issues only. So people are concerned that if I do a Democratic or a Republican ballot, I might not get the issues. The answer is that the issues are all on the partisan ballots. The opposite is true, that if you decide to go issues only, you would not see candidates on your ballot. Outside of that, I think people are asking us questions about if candidates have dropped out of on the Democratic side, if candidates have withdrawn their candidacy and I vote for them, will that vote still count? Yes, it will still count. So people need to make an informed decision on when they're doing their voting and pay attention to who is actually still in the race at this point. I believe there was a big announcement yesterday on the Democratic side that the field is now essentially, it's only Joe Biden at this point on the Democratic side. But I want to let everybody know there are so many important races up and down the ballot. On the Republican side, there are contested races at the county level that are very important. There's a contested race for Congress, 14th District, on the Republican side. So just because some things have seemed to come to a conclusion, there are so many important things on the ballot. You have the Willoughby Eastlake School levy that's out there. You have the Lake County School Financing District has a levy. Perry Library District has a levy. So there are important things, and I think it's worth voting this election. So with that said, I will open it up to any questions that anybody might have.
There was some talk, since you're doing split shift, expanding hours, working with our telecommunications department, some prompting to make
Yeah.
things a little more efficient. Did you wanna
Yeah,
expand on that?
yes, sir, Commissioner. We are working on establishing a phone tree that when a caller calls into our phone, they're going to receive a greeting that'll say, press 1 if you would like to have an absentee ballot application mailed to you, which again is our most common question or request that we're getting right now. If they press 1, that will ring 4 cell phones that have been distributed remotely to seasonal employees who, I would say their comfort level was not so much to come work in person, but they have offered to work remotely. So we have provided supplies of envelopes and the application and a label printer that they can take the caller's name and address and ask how many applications they need. And all that work can be done remotely. Those teams will then deliver at about 4:45 in the afternoon to me those envelopes, and I'll get postage on it using the mailroom, which is another area I'd like to thank. We've really kind of overtaken the mailroom in a lot of respects, and so we appreciate not only the mailroom but the other departments for allowing us to gain access quickly and for long periods of time. The other option that callers will hear is an option 2 to press, and that is frequently asked questions. It's a recording of frequently asked questions and answers to those questions that people can sort of self-serve and listen to that recording as opposed to possibly tying up an employee at the BOE, because our main priority right now is entering absentee ballot applications. That's really what we need to dedicate our time to right now so that we can queue up a ballot to be sent to the voter. And then finally, option 3 would be to just simply speak with a representative of the BOE, and those representatives are on site here at our office.
Mr. President?
Sir.
Yeah, Ross, could you kindly repeat the website and the phone number for people who will be viewing this webcast?
Yes, sir. Our website is www.lakeelections.com. That's LakeElections.com. And when you enter that website, it'll redirect to the lakeCountyOhio.gov/Lake Elections. So if you're at home and you type in that address and you see that it changed up at the top, that's just a simple redirect to the main Lake County BOE website. Our phone number is 440-350-2700. And we are taking calls 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. If you call outside of our business hours, you will be intercepted by a voicemail greeting that is instructing you if you're looking to have an absentee ballot application mailed to you, please leave your name, address, and quantity needed. We are checking that voicemail box several times a day.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And Ross, just to be clear, the public can still get to your site through the county's website, through departments, click on Board of Elections, just like always.
Exactly.
So if you want to go the traditional way that most people are commonly, very good.
Yep, LakeCountyOhio.gov, and then go to the departments and find Board of Elections. You'll get right to us. I also encourage viewers at home, if you are not already following our Facebook page, we also have a Facebook page that has a lot of great information. We've put out examples of what we are looking for on what's called the identification envelope. That is the envelope that your ballot will go into. And we're seeing some folks who have left off some important information on that envelope. envelope. Of course, if we get a voter who has omitted some information, we either call them or send them a letter asking them to correct that information. But it is always helpful to have a mocked-up example of what we're looking for. We have a frequently asked questions document that is also on our Facebook page. So I do encourage people to visit our Facebook page. One thing that I forgot to mention, the Secretary of State is doing a postcard mailing to every registered voter in the state of Ohio. That's the approach to informing every voter how this election is going to be conducted. So I believe those will start hitting mailboxes today or tomorrow, is what I'm hearing. It's on that postcard. There's instruction on how a voter can do their own homemade, handwritten absentee ballot application, which is acceptable. So there is instruction on that postcard how someone can just take a blank sheet of paper, fill in pertinent details, and that will serve as a request to vote by mail. So that helps save some time, as you can imagine, for the folks who don't have a printer at home. They can really, if they have a piece of paper and they list this information that the postcard lists, then we'll accept that as a valid absentee ballot application.
Excellent. Ross, thank you for your presentation. Do you have anything else for us?
No, one last thing. I can't stress enough the importance of listing on the application, if you're intending to vote in a party primary, we need to know the name of that party. We're seeing a lot of applications come back blank, or they've not indicated that they'd like to vote issues only. We're seeing people who are just saying that they'd like to vote in the primary of 2020, but not telling us which type of ballot they would like, or the fact that they would like an issues only ballot. So I really want to stress that with the voters. And I just want to stress patience with us as we work our hardest to get the ballots out to the voters. Voters who have already had a ballot mailed to them can track their ballot from our website. Again, lakeelections.com. You'll see a link that says track your ballot. You can see what status it's in, when it was sent, and when we received the ballot back from the voter. So that's a nice extra feature that people should utilize.
Excellent. Any other questions or comments?
No? Thank you.
Yep.
Ross, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay, moving on to our agenda. Madam Clerk, if you would proceed with the resolutions, please.
Okay. In the Engineers Department, resolution awarding a bid contract to Roniak Paving Incorporated for the Carter Road Widening and Safety Phase 2 project as required by the Lake County Engineer in the amount of $766,766.
Move to adopt.
I'll give
Second.
Okay, we got a second. Under discussion, item 1, in fact, item 1 through 5 in the engineers, I'm going to say that's part of our infrastructure paving program here in Lake County. That's the example. I'm sure you've all heard me say this more than one time. Promises made, promises kept. We are continuing forward with these infrastructure projects, and they will be making tremendous improvements here within Lake County. Do we have other discussion on this issue? None being
No.
heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract to Roniak Paving Incorporated for the resurfacing county roads in Madison Township project as required by the Lake County Engineer in the amount of $1,487,003.50.
Move to adopt?
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract to Roniak Paving Incorporated for the resurfacing county roads in Painesville and Perry Townships project as required by the Lake County Engineer in the amount of $603,680.50.
Move to adopt.
Second?
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract to Roniak Paving Incorporated for the resurfacing county roads with asphalt concrete project as required by the Lake County Engineer in the amount of $1,181,259.
Move to adopt?
Second. And discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, if you could also reposition your microphone. Your audio is very low.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract to Carvo Companies Incorporated for the resurfacing County Roads 2020 project as required by the Lake County Engineer in the amount of $1,734,599.95.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Second.
Oop, okay. It's been moved and seconded. Under discussion, I would be remiss if I did not express thanks and gratitude to our county engineer, Jim Gills. This paving program, again, example of promises made, promises kept, working together to get caught up on almost a 12-year backlog of roads in 2.5 years. I think that's pretty impressive, especially under these challenging times. So if there's any other discussion,
No, sir.
none being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
In the Utilities Department, resolution authorizing advertising for bids for fitting, repair parts, service equipment, and tools for the Lake County Department of Utilities, bid opening April 29th, 2020.
Move
Move to adopt.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion. None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing advertising for bids for limestone and sand for the Lake County Department of Utilities, bid opening April 29th, 2020.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution authorizing the Board of Lake County Commissioners to execute an Ohio Diesel Mitigation Trust Fund 2020 grant agreement with the Lake County Department of Ohio, with the Department of Ohio Environmental Protection Agency for the Lake County Department of Utilities.
Move to adopt.
Second.
And under discussion, Commissioner Young, I believe this is something near and dear to you, if you want to expand upon that a bit.
Well, we spoke about this a while back. I don't see a need to go into it again at this point, unless you'd like to, Mr. President.
I believe the people of Lake County deserve to know that they're getting $947,425 coming back to them. I think that's
Yeah.
worth mentioning twice.
Very good. I will, at your request, I will divulge my vast amount of knowledge on this subject. I had noticed earlier in the year that there was a request from the counties, from the state, to bid on this project to win these monies, which were part of of one of our settlements here recently. And I requested that we put a bid in on them, and that was the extent of my involvement. From that point on, the folks who know what they're doing did their job, and Lake County won more than $900,000. So I was proud to play a part in that, but I have to say that the folks who did the real work aren't with us here today. And I couldn't name all of them. Who are some of the people that played a role in this?
Well, I'm going to
Mr.
start off.
President?
I'm going to start off with Randy Roethlisberger and our fleet manager in the Utilities Department. They saw this opportunity, and I'm going to say, very affirmatively and aggressively went after this. So hats off to our Utilities Department for all the effort that they put into securing this. Their writing skills were exemplary, as evidenced by the, once again, $947,425.
Not a small chunk of change.
Indeed, indeed. All right, any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations, transferring appropriations, and transferring cash within the Lake County Department of Utilities Water Operating Fund and Water Project Fund 595.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion. None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck.
Yes.
Resolution awarding a bid contract in the amount of $133,790.40 to Davis Diggers Incorporated for Maplewood Drive water line replacement, 427W.
Move to adopt.
Second.
And under discussion, I'll just add on behalf of utilities, our utilities department is also continuing on with infrastructure projects to continue to improve the quality of service within the Lake County. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
In the Commissioner's Office, resolution approving and accepting the Tax Incentive Review Council recommendation and approving the continuation of the Enterprise Zone Agreement between Lubrizol Corporation and Painesville Township.
Move to adopt.
I'll second.
Jason, did you want to comment on that?
Yeah, just briefly, thank you, Jason Boyd. Tax Incentive Review Council is under the auspice of the County Port Authority. We have to meet on an annual basis to review the two deals that we have in front of you this morning. The board met along with representatives from the townships and the city of Willoughby, the local school districts, and the county auditor, and recommend both this resolution and the following resolution to proceed into next year. That's all I have. Thank you.
Very good. Further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution approving and accepting the Tax Incentive Review Council recommendation and approving the continuation of Enterprise Zone Agreement between Weston Jet Center Road, LLC, and the City of Willoughby.
Move to
Move to
adopt.
adopt.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Under discussion, Jason, anything you want to add, or are you satisfied with your earlier statements?
Nope, unanimous approval to continue this project as well.
Very good. Further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution declaring the Lake County Board of Commissioners' next regular meeting for April 16th, 2020.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution amending the WIOA Local Multifunction Governance Agreement with the Lake County Board of Commissioners.
Move to
Move
adopt.
to adopt.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Jason, did you want to comment on this?
Yes, and I believe Mr. Badiat was in the audience today too, could speak to it, but this, with the transition of the future retirement of our existing director, Mr. Dawson, and bringing a new employee on, this is kind of a statutory amendment we had to do just based on the framework of the organization. And Matt, would you like to add on to that?
Sure, Commissioner. This is a minor amendment to the agreement, placing the workforce director directly under the commissioner's purview as opposed to it being currently being under the planning commission. So it's just a minor amendment.
And is it fair to say, although minor, it fits in with our structure of where we're rethinking how we're going to be doing workforce development, a new focus on jobs?
Well, it's actually related to the next resolution that's on the agenda.
That's called spoilers, come on.
So probably makes more sense to discuss that when we get to the next resolution.
Oh, I leave you a low-hanging fastball, come on now. Okay, any other discussion? Very good. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution appointing Patrick Mahorsick to the position of Workforce Development Director effective May 4th, 2020.
Move to adopt.
Move to adopt.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Under discussion, sounds like Matt would like to share some things with us.
Sure, Commissioner. So, as Jason mentioned, our current workforce director, Bob Dawson, is retiring. And so we undertook the assignment of selecting a new workforce development director for Lake County. The team included myself, Joel DeMar from the Commissioner's Office, Bob Dawson, who is currently the workforce director, along with the chair-elect from the Workforce Development Board, who also, his name is Bob Dawson. The four of us conducted interviews and came to a unanimous decision to recommend Patrick Mahorsick to the Workforce Board. The Workforce Board unanimously approved that recommendation, and now that comes to the Commissioners for your approval. Patrick is currently an employee at the Lake County Port Authority. He comes with a significant background in economic development, education, both background and experience. He's energetic, has lots of creative ideas, and I think he'll be a really good fit to take on the responsibilities of being the Lake County Workforce Development Director. So that's the recommendation from the Workforce Development Board and myself and the team that did the interviews to the Board of County Commissioners for their approval.
And perhaps this is not the best time, but I'll just throw this out there because it sort of fits. So Bob Dawson, we're not going to be losing all of his knowledge. He's still going to be available to us in a new capacity.
Right, Bob's going to stay on in a part-time role to be able to give Patrick Morisic some direction and help with taking on this new role to help with the transition of Patrick coming on board.
Very good. Further discussion?
Mr. President, I would just like to reiterate that I think the selection of Patrick is an excellent one. And the combination of Patrick coming on board and still being able to utilize the experience of Bob Dawson is a great combination, and I think will serve the people of Lake County very, very well. Thank you.
Indeed. Commissioner Young?
Well, it's an extremely important function, and I love the way they, this last year, in fact, when we really needed it, the way they kicked into gear, and they've done a superb job. If you look at the numbers, I don't have them in front of me now, but I think the numbers of referrals for our training programs in particular, whether it be machining or nursing or truck driving, have increased at least twofold in that 1-2 year period. And of course, that's federal dollars that we just leave on the table if we don't get folks out there that are qualified to get the training and complete the training and go to work right here in Lake County. So extremely important function, and it's good we're keeping Bob. He spearheaded the surge, if you will, a positive surge for a change last year. And I think we're going to have an excellent tutor there. So things are really going in the right direction. I know, Matt, you played a big role in keeping that group rolling. So thank you.
Very good. Further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
In the Finance Department, resolution approving payment of bills as listed on the Commissioner's Approval Journal in the amount of $2,976,320.03.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution approving purchase orders as listed on the Commissioner's Purchase Order Approval Journal in the amount of $1,407,169.72.
Move to adopt.
Second. Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution increasing appropriations for various general and non-general fund accounts.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
Resolution transferring appropriations within various general fund accounts.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes.
And in special resolutions, resolution proclaiming the week of April 12th through the 18th, 2020, National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week.
I'd like to move to adopt that one.
Second.
Second.
And under discussion, our telecommunicators, there's a reason why we've seen a rebranding from just saying dispatchers to telecommunicators. The folks that do the traditional dispatch role over the last several years have been assuming a number of new responsibilities. They are dealing with a tremendous amount of data coming in from the internet, from cell phones, as well as the traditional landlines. They are becoming more and more like air traffic controllers, counselors, and in many regards, sometimes that first responder that helps guide people through everything from CPR to helping to deliver a child. So my hat's off to our telecommunicators, and we have some of the finest right here in Lake County. You've probably heard a lot of discussions early on in this COVID situation. They have stood up. We work very closely here in Lake County at our Emergency Operations Center and our dispatch facility located therein. We're partnered as a backup for the city of Mentor, and they are a backup for us. We have local dispatch centers here in Lake County, but they are 3 and 4 deep as far as being able to provide the needs for the people of Lake County, and we're also working to back up and support Geauga County as well. So there's been an awful lot of stepping up and reinforcing of positions. High praise to them. So further discussion? None being heard. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, this brings us to our departmental reports portion of our meeting. I'll move directly over to Job and Family Services. Matt?
Thank you, Commissioner. As you know, when the governor issued his stay-at-home order, he also included naming specific organizations that are essential. Job and Family Services was specifically mentioned in his order because of the programs and services that we provide to the community. And so, thankfully, we had began to work on getting as many employees working remotely as possible even before that order. And I'm very proud of our team in that I'd say 3 weeks ago we had about 180 employees working in our building, and currently today we have 19. And all of the rest of them are working from home, including our child support case managers, our public assistance case managers, child care workforce, and our social workers. I wanted to specifically mention our social workers because they still have the responsibility of responding to child abuse and elder abuse claims and reports. So those social workers are still, they're working from home, but they're also responding to those reports and going out into the community and sometimes going into people's homes to make sure children and adults are safe. And I wanted to give them a special shout out because it's a very critical role that they're playing to protect our most vulnerable. And especially with daycare centers and schools and doctors' offices being closed, those are typically how we get our reports when someone's concerned about children. So it's more important than ever that we continue to respond to those reports and try to protect those children. The other group I wanted to mention is that, as you know, we have a group home called the Cayley Home. We currently have 11 teenagers that we have custody of living at the Cayley Home, and all of our staff at the Cayley Home are still working there. But they've taken on additional responsibilities, as you can imagine, because the children are now home 24/7, living in that facility. So they've taken on the responsibility of being their teachers, along with comforting them and making sure they're being taken care of. So I wanted to mention those employees too. Finally, some people may think, well, if our employees are working from home, they're not really as productive as they could be, and that's just the furthest from the truth, at least for our employees at Job and Family Services. I wanted to share some numbers with you real quickly, specific to public assistance. In March of this year, we processed 536 food assistance applications. In the first 6 days of April, we've already processed 336 applications. That's with our staff being home and still being able to have that kind of production. And those numbers are just going to continue to go up as more and more people find themselves applying for unemployment and so forth. For our cash assistance, in March we had a total of 50 processed. In the first 6 days of April, we've already processed 52 applications for cash assistance. And Medicaid, these are a number of applications that we received and are working on. In March, we received 1,600 applications, and for the first 6 days of April, we already received 450. So our our business is still going strong, particularly in determining eligibility for those public assistance programs that are so critical to people, especially during this time when they're struggling financially. So that's my update for Job and Family Services, and I can answer any questions anyone may have.
Well, I'll just talk about, so it was close to maintaining deliveries as close to as usual. You've been managing that very well. I know it's not business as usual, but the deliverables.
Yeah, the production is right up there with where we've been before, and with the increased number of applications for those critical programs. Again, I'm very proud of our staff for being able to continue that type of production in very unusual situations in time.
And just to mention,
And I believe last week or the week before, you passed a resolution claiming April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. I appreciate that. I'm wearing my blue ribbon. I see you're wearing the blue pinwheel. Again, it's critical that we continue to do our best to protect, again, our most vulnerable children in our community, and our social workers are continuing to do that.
and in these difficult times, that's more critical than ever. Our Dave Hackman, on behalf of the prosecutor's office, gave us some insights. Are there any updates or concerns or special concerns that you're dealing with now?
It's business as usual in terms of, unfortunately, there are still children that are at risk and that we need to intervene on their behalf. And as I mentioned, with the traditional referral sources pretty much being shut down, it's more important than ever that if someone has a concern about a child, that they call our hotline, which is still operating 24/7, 7 days a week, and that number is 350-4000, and then select the first option, number 1, and you'll be put in touch with a social worker. Won't be put on hold, won't hear a recording. You will hear a social worker. You will get in touch with a social worker so that you can express any concerns you may have about a child or an adult,
Very good.
a senior.
I do have a quick
Sure.
question. Matt, during the recession, the rates of home violence, abuse, suicide, opioid overdoses, all those things increased as people are out of work more and more. Are you finding any of that yet with so many people out of work? It's been a short time now, but have those numbers gone up at all from your perspective?
You know, Commissioner, it's hard to say factually what the numbers are right now because it is so close, it's happening right now.
Yeah.
But I can say that we do know during times like this, when there is more stress, when there is more anxiety for parents and for spouses and for partners, typically that does become more of an issue in terms of those kinds of issues. What I wanted to make sure everybody understood is that we have a very vibrant behavioral health the community still working, and anyone who has a concern or an issue can still contact the Compass line through the Lake County Adams Board. Unfortunately, I don't have that number off the top of my head, but that can easily be accessed through the Lake County website and then going to the Adams Board to find out what that Compass line number is. That's
Excellent.
critically important to continue to have those services available to the community.
Very good, thank you.
Agreed. Matt, once again, thank you. Commissioner Serino, any thoughts? Oh, sir, you're on mute. Or you're having one fine, fun time with us. We don't have your audio.
You have a chalkboard there, Jerry.
Okay, I'm assuming you have nothing to add. We believe you are muted, sir. And we're in the process of troubleshooting this. Our technical staff is diving in with that usual look of concern, that little bit of a perky smile.
Okay, try now.
Commissioner Serino.
No.
Hey, Jason, do you have audio? We do not have audio from Jason, so it's probably on our end. And looking to our legal department, does sign language, thumbs up and thumbs down, count as voting?
We've
Yes,
gotten through all the resolutions so far.
Jerry says he has nothing to add.
Nothing to add. There we go. I like it.
Well said, sir.
Okay. So with that, we do have, did we vote on that ceremonial resolution, Madam Clerk? Very good. And we're in departmental reports, so even now I'm starting to lose my place here. That's never a good thing. We'll circle back to our administrator. We do have our clerk here. Do you have anything you'd care to add for today's meeting?
Just as a reminder, we passed the resolution for our next meeting, which is Thursday, the 16th at 10 a.m. And I wanted to wish everyone a happy Easter.
Oh, that's nice. Yes, life goes on. Thank you, ma'am. And legal, sir?
No reports, Commissioner, but I think it would be important to get audio back with Commissioner Serino for purposes of adjournment.
Understood, sir. So sign language doesn't count then. Okay, well, we'll just keep doing some tap dancing here. We're going to circle back to our county administrator because I know there's some things you wanted to talk about. But until we solve this receive audio challenge, let's...
We could say something about the senior meals program.
I believe that's something that if you wish to, Commissioner Young, if you want to slide into that, we're kind of going to do a little mishmash here and go a little off script. Commissioner Young, did you want to talk about the senior program?
I would love to, Mr. President. I think this is a great program. You know, who's buzzing? Is that me?
No, that would be Jason texting me there, so we're...
Oh, okay, all right. Jason's always buzzing one way or the other. At any rate, the Council on Aging is conducting a program, which I think is fantastic. You know, the average, I hate to bring this up, but the average age of death now for the epidemic is 74 years of age in Lake County. And with seniors, the ones that are most at risk, they have trouble getting out sometimes and getting the bare necessities, including food. So we have this meals program that the Council on Aging has put together, and it just began, and on Tuesday, 210 meals were delivered, 200 to 210 different households, and today they're delivering 207. They can handle as many as 400. So if anybody out there knows a senior that looks a little hungry, feel free to refer them, and we'll see what we can do. So we're looking at additional funding for April, and we think we'll come up with something. Marks has been doing a great job for us in this program as well. They've allowed us to order in many creative ways in bulk. For instance, we're getting about 2,500 pounds of produce twice a week now. So I think it's a program that is admirable and appropriate, and I'm just glad Lake County's one of the first to jump into this.
Very
Thank you.
good. Just a quick sound check. Commissioner Serino,
Can you hear me now?
we can hear you, sir. And our legal
Okay.
is now sort of smiling. That's a good thing. And Jason?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I do.
So Commissioner, my thumbs up or thumbs down is not legal, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we could improvise, but we'd have to zoom the camera in.
Okay.
So, I'm trying to be polite here. Let's circle back. Commissioner Young, thank you. Jason, I'm assuming you heard Commissioner Young's presentation regarding the senior program?
Yeah. Yes, I did. Thank you, Commissioner Young. Just like to add, Council on Aging, Aaliyah for the Commissioner's Office, our Senior Coordinator, 211 Marks have been critical partners in Lake Tran. Lake Tran's really stepped up on delivering these food products. This is in addition to Council on Aging's Meals on Wheels program. And fortunately or unfortunately, we've had a huge demand, and we'll continue to meet that demand to the best of our ability. So thank you, Commissioner Young, for bringing that forward. And while I have the mic, I'd also just like to reiterate, I talked to our utilities executive director this morning, and all systems go in public utility world, Lake County. All of our plants and operations are running just as we expect, and couple projects, as you see today, we approved a couple projects, are still continuing in our community. So thank you.
And Jason, while we've got you on the line, under finance, the county's finances do still remain strong, but we are going to have to take a good hard look at what the future looks like. We're looking at reaching out to department heads for suggestions and possible adjustments. Anything you want to add to that?
Nope. Finance director Matus and I are in constant communications. He's one of the best in the business, and we'll follow his lead, and going to look for a team approach here as we get through the next few weeks and what the third and fourth quarter of the year look like here for revenues. And we'll have a plan in place when the time is right.
Commissioner, Mr. President, I have a question for Jason on the finance side. Mr. Matus is not there, correct?
He is not, sir.
Correct.
Jason, what can you tell us about, there's a lot of volatility right now in the municipal bond market for bonds as well as notes and so on. Do you happen to know what the status is right now of the bonds and notes that we recently put out for subscription?
I don't have that in front of me, Commissioner. I can get that from Mr. Matus. He was working with bond counsel and Mr. Gill's office a couple of weeks ago. We could continue the road program, which you saw today, so I can get that for you. In regards to some revenue numbers we're seeing, just based on state guidance, we were on a county commission call Tuesday, and just some of the early numbers are 10-12%, just right off the blush on existing receipts on the sales tax side. Clearly, our investment earnings are going to, we know kind of what's coming. So yeah, I think we need a little bit more trend to get a good vibe on what that looks like long term.
Well, my suspicion is that we just made it in terms of the subscriptions for this whole thing really hit the fan, and before all the volatility in municipals hit. So I think we're probably, timing-wise, I think we were okay in not having to go back out and explain any revenue shortfalls. So, and what impact that might have on interest rates. I know some municipalities are experiencing some real pushback now on the rates vis-a-vis the risk involved if their tax receipts are going to be way down. So if you could just, with Mike, confirm back that we slipped in right before all of this hit the fan, and that we are okay on placing all of the subscriptions that we were looking for.
Yes, sir. We'll do that. Thank you.
And Commissioner Serino, to your point, yes, we did get in literally just under the wire on the $12 million in notes for the road improvement project. That's why I was pushing so hard to get it signed and whatnot. It was literally, you are spot on, sir. It was literally I'm going to say the last few hours of there being an appetite. It was frightening, I will tell you. The one that we were sort of looking at possibly redoing that we've decided to take a step back on was the dog kennel. There was some thought of, hey, could we save some money? Back when things were pre-COVID, we've walked away from that one because we would not save any money by refinancing that one. But all the critical finance actions that needed to be taken place did take place, and it literally came down to hours. So you are spot on, sir.
And I think, if I remember correctly, that we had one subscriber actually buy the whole thing.
Yes.
What we're going to see in the months ahead is that for municipalities that are, or any government entity that's issuing bonds, is going to be paying a lot more for those because of the risk involved. So I'm glad we made it just in time. Thank you.
You are correct, sir. It was one entity that did acquire the full $12 million, and it was based on our strong credit rating that they considered us to be an acceptable risk, and they offered what was a rather favorable rate. So it did come together very quickly. So there was a number of things that we had set in motion ahead of time, and we executed literally just in time.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, moving on to old business. Do we have any old business to come before the board? I'll jump in on this one. There's a common thread here. I'm gonna give a shout out to our friends over at the Meredith City Managers, and I'm gonna especially thank Mayor Dennis Morley from East Lake and his sidekick there, I'm going to call Judy Moran, the shadow government. She's kind of keeping things going. If you see the trail of emails, she's making sure that we've got everything well documented. Our mayors and city managers, they've been helping get the word out to our local elected officials to help keep pushing forward with the Census 2020 efforts. And let me give you some quick feedback on that. We've got a national self-response rate of 46.2%. The state of Ohio is at 50.1%, and Lake County, I'm very proud to say, we are at 56.6%. We are, as you know, we have the county commissioners. We've accepted the challenge for a complete count committee. I'm honored to be the chair of that committee. We've been very effective, but our mayors, city managers, that also include our township trustees, they have been very active in getting the word out there. We've done another ask of them to, once again, get this information out there, get it in front of people. I will tell you, we've got the self-response started. I believe the invitations were mailed out March 11th through the 18th. April 1st was that point in time. It's pretty much where you reside is where you get recorded. So we've been doing really good. I'm going to say our top contributing communities, City of Mentor, Kirtland, and Concord Township. Right now, they're the highest response rates of villages, cities, townships right here in Lake County. So maybe we could get a little bit of competition going to see how we can break through that. And the reason that I'm emphasizing our census response, it's very important because back in 2010, we had an underreporting of, I believe it was about 43 to 47,000. That's almost the population of the city of Mentor. And that's, I've said it before, I'll say it again, that's unacceptable. We're working on correcting that under even these difficult times, because the census really does count. I'll also say that our friends in Madison Township, we had our informational meeting with the Ohio Department of Transportation earlier in the year, and we found out about the possible realignment, converting Route 20 from 528 to County Line Road from 4 lanes down to 2 lanes with a center turn lane. Our friends in Madison Township, they've taken this charge very seriously. They are working on this. There are public comments being collected right now by ODOT, and they're flowing through NOACA. It's part of the, try not to throw a muscle out picking this one up, it's part of the Transportation Improvement Program, TIP. Little light reading if anybody cares to, that's for dramatic purposes, but yes, it's really that thick. If you really want to hide something in there, it's not too hard. But public comments, our mayors and city managers and township trustees have taken up the cause. They're putting letters to object to this reduction of lanes. That is unprecedented, where you have that much cooperation by local elected officials supporting another community. The public comment period was set to be going on, but it got put down to, well, just email us or write us. And ODOT is acting as if they're just going to do what they want, and that's not acceptable. Our county engineer is working with us on this, and ODOT seems to have forgotten that NOACA did conditionally approve the funding for that project. It's a simple resurfacing, and literally the only dispute is paint, literally paint, which will decide where the lanes are. And they have to come back to the board of NOACA if they wish to go from 4 lanes down to 2. But the public comment section is very important, and I realize there are a lot of people who say there's more important things, but this is important, and again, our mayors and city managers are helping. So if there's no other old business, we could move into the new business. New business? All right, I'll jump on that. Once again, mayors and city managers, I put an ask out to them to let's coordinate with our emergency management agency, a emergency contact tree. That was taken up earlier this week. We now have a contact mechanism put in place where we can all be notified at the same time to go to a central collection point to gather information real time. So again, I thank the group, and we're somehow getting some audio problems, but hey, it's one of those days. That'd be part of the VESTA program, the same system we use for the Perry Nuclear Power Plant emergency notification mechanism. And speaking of Perry Nuclear Power Plant, we've got a lot of questions about, so what's going on behind the scene? So let's have some good talk. Good old-fashioned common sense does still exist right here in Lake County. Little story, yesterday the 8th was scheduled to be an audible test of the Lake County siren system, the Geauga County siren system, and the Ashtabula County siren system. I was made aware of that last week and talked to our EMA director to get that converted from an audible test to a silent test. Our EMA director got a little bit of pushback from Energy Harbor and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission saying that's part of your approved plan. You have to do it. Well, that wasn't going to sit. We reached out, Jason Boyd reached out to his colleagues, administrators. I took up the charge to reach out to my colleagues here in Lake County and the other 2 counties. And our EMA director reached out to his colleagues. We reached consensus. I was fortunate enough to be able to garner the support of Congressman Dave Joyce, who made some phone calls. He applied pressure from the top. I continued working through normal channels with Energy Harbor, and it came down to just a simple request from this Board of Commissioners, which we did make the request to convert it from an audible test to a silent test. And I can only imagine after that storm the night before and all the people who are home that are not normally home, how that would have been received if the sirens had gone off without apparent explanation. So again, I want to emphasize good old-fashioned common sense still does exist in government, and we can cut through the red tape. And again, I want to emphasize there's a tremendous amount of working together. That was also brought up to the mayors and city managers earlier. There was no objection by any of those individuals to convert from an audible to a silent test. And I commend my colleagues for working with us to make that happen. Commissioner Young?
You can,
Oh.
please continue, and I may have something.
And the last thing I'd like to add is a very sincere thank you to the public. Our staff continues to try to maintain services as close to normal on the deliverable side as possible, but I do want to say thank you to the public. We do have some frayed nerves and a little bit of tension, to say the least, but the reports that I'm getting back is, generally speaking, the public has been kind, courteous, supportive, and understanding of our efforts, and that truly is appreciated. So thank you. A smile goes a long way. A friendly thank you goes a long way, and that does mean a great deal. And we're seeing a lot of cordial conduct out in the public. So those are all things that mean a great deal, and just wanted to say thank you to our public in general. So with that, thank you, sir.
Mr. President?
Uh-oh.
I just wanted,
Don't.
go ahead, Commissioner Serino.
Jerry, go ahead.
Sorry, can you hear that?
Those of you watching, that's called oops. If you'll give us just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be working to reestablish that connection. We're having a challenge with some feedback on the audio as our technician was working through resolving that feedback. We solved it, but lost the connection in the process. So
It's getting late. Maybe I should go ahead now, Mr. President.
I'm thinking that might not be a bad thing, but I'm looking over to our legal since we're just in comments. Commissioner Serino being benched for the moment.
Would be fine.
Okay, with legal's concurrence, if you want to jump on the mic to say you're okay with that, so that it's...
I'm sorry, Commissioner. Yes, that would be fine for comments from Commissioner Young.
Thank you, sir, for your guidance.
Very good. I've been legally approved to
Absolutely.
exercise my
You've
freedom
got
of
the blessing.
speech. At any rate, small businesses represent about 90% of our new job growth in Ohio. And they're the ones most vulnerable to temporary economic shutdowns. It's harder for them to recover. They don't always have the capital available to make that happen. So the county has recently suspended, we've deferred payments on our...
There we go.
Okay,
on our small business development loans. And I think that was an excellent move. Let's keep those little companies rolling and insisting they pay their loans at this time, taking money away from operations and the openings that we're expecting and hoping for in May. I think that was a great move on the county's part, and I was really glad to be a part of that along with Commissioner Serino and Commissioner Hammercheck.
And just to,
President, I'll give it a try again.
just real quick, just to finish adding on to what Commissioner Young was reporting, this is not an automatic deferment. You know, if one of our loan program participants, it's part of the Community Development Block Grant program, that they would have to make a request for that, and then they can enroll in the deferment plan. So we have Rhea Benton, our CDBG director, managing that program. So very good. And Commissioner Serino, do you want to give it a go?
Well,
Wow. Do you have any other audio sources in the background?
I don't know what the problem is.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for the challenge and the inconvenience, but this is basically a design build, and we're working through the challenges, trying to bring you as much as possible. And we call that a pregnant pause. So with that, I will...
Maybe we should adjourn. Are we done?
Jerry, did you have anything substantial that you wanted to add, or should we move to adjourn?
Every time we unmute him, we just get feedback.
Yeah.
So I have to keep him muted, otherwise we get that feedback.
Okay, Jerry, we're getting some feedback. Jason, is there anything you wanted to add to this, or are you good?
No, I'm okay, Commissioners, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Serino, you okay if we move to adjourn at some point? There we go, we're getting the thumbs up. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be moving to adjourn our meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I will make a second. Oh, we got, Jerry gave us a second on that. And do we have any discussion? No discussion? Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for your patience with us today. We're working out the bugs and hopefully future presentations. With no further discussion, Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Serino?
Hang on a second.
I heard a yes.
Commissioner Serino?
Yes.
Yes, there we go.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Commissioner Hammercheck?
Yes. Once again, thank you all for your patience with us. Good day.